The Jets will be unveiling their new uniforms tonight. Someone unveiled the uniforms for them yesterday. And we've seen this happen before. Last year, the Jaguars uniforms got unveiled because they put up a giant graphic at the airport a day early. And, you know, the closer in time the leak comes to when they're going to unveil it, the more credible the leak is. And there are plenty of people who say that these aren't the real uniforms. If you're watching on NBCSN, you can see it. If you're listening, you just have to take my word for it. It looks convincing. If this is a Photoshop job, it is one of the best I've ever seen. Like, why are you wasting your Photoshop skills on making phony Jets uniforms and putting it out there one day before you're going to be proven wrong? This is impressive. You have guys standing in the poses they would be standing in. You have the right lighting, the right shading, the right logos, the right details, the right everything. Now, the uniforms are ugly, in my opinion. Maybe we'll get used to them, but these are what these Nike uniforms do. There's always a black jersey and black pants. There's always the name of the city over top of the numbers that aren't like the old school block numbers. We have to have different shapes to the numbers, and we have to have the city's name on there because, God forbid, we would think that they are the San Antonio Jets. But anyway, these apparently are the uniforms, Chris, that will be unveiled tonight by the Jets, and the Jets presumably not too pleased that the uniforms got leaked a day early.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that. I heard, Chris Johnson yelled at the staff and all the people in the front office. I mean, what they're saying that they think maybe the leak was not from the Jets and maybe from Nike or the NFL or somebody like that. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Mike, but I'm with you, okay? I like the Nike uniforms. I've liked how they've made some teams' uniforms a little edgier and different looking, certainly. But I'm not always for that for some of the older traditional teams. And I look at the Jets uniforms right now. I don't mind the helmet. I'm down with the helmet with the JETS across the board there, okay? Kind of the 80s style helmet. But I'm with you with the rest of the uniform. I'm not so sure I love it. Maybe it's the different color green and the little stripes in the shoulder pad, whatever it may be. I think it is too edgy or almost college looking for the NFL. I look at, Mike, they kind of look like Marshall and the green jerseys with the white pants. I feel like it looks like Marshall other than the helmet.
I've seen comparisons to the Saskatchewan Roughriders as well. Now,
you're right. It's very close.
I understand that this was the basic scheme, the helmet, the green helmet with Jets in white. That was what they wore from 1978 through 1997. Not exactly a stellar area in team history, so I don't know that you want to pay homage to that. But the change for the sake of change, I don't get. And I said this earlier on the radio side, Chris. If I had bought my kids official Sam Darnold jerseys, the $300 stitched on letters and numbers for Christmas, and 3.5 months later, they are rendered irrelevant by an entirely new uniform design, I would not be happy. And that's one of the things that happens far too often. Look, the Browns have changed their uniforms once since Nike came on board. Now they're going to change them again.
Yeah.
The Jaguars have changed theirs twice since Nike got involved. I mean, at some point, you got to be a little more sensitive to your consumer, to your customer who has spent big money on one of these jerseys. And God forbid anyone was dumb enough to buy a Jets jersey over the last 3 months, because if you want the jersey that the team is actually going to be wearing this fall, you don't have it anymore.
No, I that's a legitimate concern. You're right. It's kind of unfair to the consumer, or at least the consumer who's not aware that there's a new jersey release or whatever it may be. But come on, we're being a little nitpicky there. Hey, you're going to wear the Sam Darnold jersey, whether it's last year's version or this year's version, okay? Yeah, whether you go to the Jets game, I get it. It's part of the business of the NFL right now. The Jets were due for a new, fresh look. So are the damn Cleveland Browns. They need something different. I mean, I don't know. The Browns uniforms are uglier now than ever, I think. I like the way they looked back in the 80s a little bit when it was just simpler or whatever it may be. But I think also teams look at this as changing the uniforms, Mike, as like changing the culture. A little bit like Bill Parcells. When he went to New England, he said, damn, all these red jerseys with the Patriot on the helmet snapping the football, he just associated that with losing. And I think that's why he wanted to change the look of the uniform. And I think that's what some of these teams like the Jets and Jaguars do too. They're kind of trying to change the vibe of their overall culture and football team.
And the best teams never change their uniforms, right? The teams that are relevant year in and year out, the teams that we care about year in and year out, they don't change, and they likely never will.
But the Patriots
teams
changed and started winning. The Denver Broncos changed and won Super Bowls. There's two teams that changed. Aha! I got you right there.
Well, I don't disagree with that concept,
Right.
but there's still going to be plenty of bad teams that keep
Yes,
changing
there
their
is.
uniforms every few years.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.